Hi, everyone. We should be live now. So, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see if we've got some people joining us on YouTube and Twitch and also Facebook. And I believe we are also going out to Twitter as well. So, a warm welcome to everybody if you are joining us today. Thank you so much. It's the start of MS Awareness Week. So, we've been busy here behind the scenes, getting lots of different bits and pieces ready to really try and spread that message this year. So, someone says good evening. Hello there. Good evening. So yeah, so today we do have a very special session on MS and mindfulness. But first, just a little bit about MS Awareness Week and a little bit of housekeeping too. So this is the first year that we've teamed up with lots of other MS Awareness Week charity partners. So we've joined with the MS Society, Overcoming MS, Shift.ms, MS UK, MS Together, and the MS National Therapy Centres as well to raise awareness about MS. We figured that our voice would be louder if we came together. So this year we are focusing on mental health. So you might have seen our campaign on social media with the hashtag MS Makes Me. We've been trying to make as much noise as we can this year. We know that everyone's experience of MS is so different, such a diverse condition, and equally, just in that way, everyone's experience of their mental health is also very diverse. So some people might feel really isolated, depressed, anxious. We know these are really common emotions that people with MS will experience. But then also some people may feel hopeful. They may feel connected to the MS community who are just amazing. So we know that yes, there's going to be lots of negative experiences, lots of positive experiences, and lots of life-changing experiences too. So that's what we want to do this year, is really highlight that with our campaign. And we really want to get as many people talking as possible. So thank you so much for joining us. A little bit of housekeeping. So just so that we can make sure that we're all safe and happy during the stream. So we've just got a few rules there pinned to the chat. So, and I'm just going to show them just here as well. So yeah, so just to summarize, really, the chat is being moderated. Be respectful to others. We won't have any trolling, obviously. So if that does take place, if you are trying to incite hate or racism or anything along those lines, we will be banning people. Of course, we know everyone from the MS community wouldn't be involved in anything like that. But if you do spot something that's not quite right, just do flag it in the chat, and our moderators will be straight onto that as well. Yes, so and also just be kind. We're talking about mental health, so we know that can be a sensitive topic for lots of people. If it does bring up some of those difficult emotions, just make sure you do seek medical advice from health professionals as well. If after today or on any of other events during the week you are really struggling, just do make sure that you seek that expert advice. So yeah, thanks very much. So I thought we'd kick off before we get to Justin. So if you're looking at me and thinking this is not the handsome person that we saw on the event page, Justin has very kindly recorded us a brilliant pre-recorded video all about mindfulness and his take on mindfulness when he's someone who lives with MS. So when he uses it to kind of help manage some of his symptoms and to help manage some of the different, appointments that he has to go through. And he's also a mindfulness teacher as well. So he unfortunately won't be around to answer any questions, but you'll be stuck with me. Lucky you. Anyway, I thought we'd kick off just before we get to Justin with a video based on our MS Awareness Week campaign. Just showing you how you can get involved if you'd like to. So this is using the hashtag MS Makes Me. Then we'll go to the interview with Justin.
MS makes me scared. I'm newly diagnosed, so I've got a lot to think about. I'm not going to pretend that isn't bothering me, because it is, but I am committing to myself that I'm not going to let this rule my life, and I'm going to try and get on the best way I can.
MS can sometimes make me feel isolated, and I think that's because there's been times in the past where I've made plans and I've had to cancel because of a bad flare-up or because of a relapse. I think sometimes when I'm explaining how I'm feeling, it might feel a little exaggerated or a little dramatic, and I think it just makes me feel a little bit isolated and not quite like people that don't have MS.
MS makes me frustrated. It makes me frustrated because most of the time it's an invisible illness, and people will assume that because they can't see anything wrong that there mustn't be anything wrong, and that's definitely not the case. It also makes me frustrated because I've had to accept the fact that I can't and won't be able to do everything that my friends and people my age can do, and I can't plan ahead like my friends can, because MS is predictably unpredictable.
Yeah, so guys, if you do want to get involved, make sure you're sharing your videos with that hashtag and tag us as well, and we'll make sure that we reshare that one as well. So yeah, next up we've got our session on mindfulness. So as I say, Justin will be coming up with the pre-record. So yeah, do let us know in the chat if anything useful comes out of this one. So if you think, yeah, I'll definitely be using some of these strategies, or you'd never thought about something before, like in the way that Justin explains it, do let us know. Okay, I'll pass over to our premiere of our pre-recorded video. Thanks so much for watching again.
I'm Justin Standfield. I'm 48 and I was diagnosed with MS in 2014, although I'd noticed symptoms from 2001. The definition of mindfulness that I like comes from Jon Kabat-Zinn, who developed mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is used widely across the globe. And the definition is that mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. I'd been curious about meditation for a number of years, and in 2001 I learnt how to meditate properly, and that was quite traditional meditation in a temple in Bangkok in Thailand. And then over the years developed a personal practice of mindfulness meditation from self-learning, and got more interested in how to share that with other people. So I've completed over the years a number of teacher training programs, and now that's a big part of what I do professionally, is teach other people mindfulness techniques. A lot of that is about meditation, but also some day-to-day ways to incorporate mindfulness into your life. My MS diagnosis came in 2014. My first symptom of MS was in 2001 though, so there was a 13-year period during which time I had assorted things not quite right, no conclusive diagnosis, lots of tests. And during that time, I was already practicing mindfulness. So after the MS diagnosis in 2014, I forget when this was, but at some point I made the connection for myself that I could more overtly be using this mindfulness practice that I have to handle some of how MS presents itself for me. I brought mindfulness really together with MS, I suppose, at some point, I forget when, after my diagnosis in 2014. I began to realise that, having a diagnosis, whilst it was a relief because I'd been under suspicion of having MS for so many years, was still a lot to deal with. You know, there's treatment options to consider. How is this going to affect me at work, and what might the future hold? So definitely some of the mental well-being aspects were immediately something that occurred to me, right, mindfulness will help me process and deal with this. But then some of the physical presentation of symptoms for me, so things that have affected me like foot drop, numbness, lots of balance issues, the MS hug, tinnitus, although I can't say that's absolutely linked to MS, but I've had tinnitus for 10 years. Mindfulness has definitely given me the opportunity to realize that this is part of my current experience, but doesn't define who I am. For a lot of people, they come to mindfulness meditation to support them with things like stress, resilience, mental health and well-being. But actually the type of mindfulness that I share with people in my classes was developed originally for chronic pain. So it was around the understanding that mindfulness can assist us with having an altered relationship with pain and with the concept of experiencing pain. So I have found it very helpful for me personally with my own practice and having symptoms like pain and numbness and spasticity to do with my own experience of MS. And I know that other people that I've worked with and taught this to, beyond MS, actually people with things like chronic back pain, rheumatoid arthritis, have experienced an alleviation in their symptoms. Some of the benefits that I've noticed, for me personally, have been around the physical presentation of some of my MS symptoms. And one of those that's been particularly troubling for me over the years has been the MS hug. That spasticity, discomfort, neuropathic pain around the torso has been non-stop for me for 6 years. And pharmaceuticals have only really done so much in terms of reducing that pain. One of the natural tendencies that I think we tend to have with pain is to brace ourselves against it, or to try and push it away or deny it even. And that can be unhelpful. It can almost add an extra layer of pain on top of the original pain, but because we're busy, gritting our teeth and clenching our fists and tensing up about that pain, like, I don't want to have this, And certainly with something like the MS hug, tension in your body is really counterproductive for that condition, that symptom. I would say that for me, mindfulness has been hugely beneficial in dealing with the MS hug. It's about noticing what's there and opening to and accepting that experience, which at times is really uncomfortable, is really painful. So with mindfulness, with that symptom in mind, the MS hug, one of the things that works for me is accepting that it's part of my present moment experience and not giving into it, not letting it consume me, but also not trying too hard to push it away and to deny it and hope that things were different. So mindfulness was developed for use in healthcare settings and then adapted for people to practice on their own with some guidance at home afterwards. And the original clinical trials around using mindfulness for health and well-being were around chronic pain, physical pain, but also incorporated mental health and well-being. Now, having MS is not fun, and knowing that you have something without any cure that is progressive and degenerative is likely to take its toll on most people at some point in terms of excessive worry, maybe low mood, depression, anxiety, stress, those sorts of things. So for me personally, with my own practice, I've found mindfulness and meditation techniques to be very beneficial about appreciating that what I might be thinking in my mind about this condition, about my symptoms, about my future, may be just my thoughts right now. They are not necessarily true. They are not actually a crystal ball prediction of how things are going to end up for me. And while I talk about mindfulness, I realise that you might expect that since I tried it originally 22 years ago, I've been a sort of hardcore endurance sport type of guy about mindfulness. I haven't actually. In my early years with it, I was a sporadic meditator. You know, there would be times when I would do it really frequently and definitely stick to a regular practice, and then it would wane away for a little while, and you know, other things would creep in, and life would get busy and things would slip. But I did notice over time that the less frequently I was using mindfulness in my day-to-day life, and the less frequently I was meditating, that my own well-being was suffering, and that my own quality of listening to other people, for example, my own attention span, and my own appreciation of leisure activities was even reduced when I wasn't practicing mindfulness. So for me, it is something that I would say personally I've noticed some really wide-ranging benefits to having a frequent, regular practice that I am these days much more committed to. And obviously teaching other people, it means that I get to share it with others nowadays too. I've noticed that on some social media platforms, the image presented of people who practice mindfulness meditation is far removed from everyday people like me. For example, a lot of social media presents mindfulness meditation as something that you need to do on a beach in a sunset, or something that you do next to a rocky outcrop beside a waterfall, or that it's something you have to do in the lotus position. And that can be really alienating for people who have disabilities. In actual fact, mindfulness meditation can be practiced seated. Many of the people that I share it with use wheelchairs, so absolutely they can take part fully in any part of using mindfulness to manage their health or their medical condition. Practicing mindfulness is sometimes a formal guided meditation. When I say formal, I mean a block of time when you decide, I'm going to do some mindfulness now, and you plug into an app or you listen to an audio recording of somebody guiding you through maybe 10, 20 minutes of some sort of meditation. So that's a formal mindfulness practice. But equally as important is the informal practice of mindfulness too, or as I call it, the everyday mindfulness opportunities that are there, which can be paying attention in the present moment on purpose, without judgment, while brushing the dog, or you know, preparing dinner, washing up, brushing your own teeth. All of those things are often things that are tools for us to notice and pay attention to in the present moment that we don't use. Life's busy, so headspace gets quite busy. Then add on top of that the non-stop experience of having assorted MS symptoms going on, and the occasional thoughts about what the future might hold. That can mean that you are holding on to a lot of thoughts all at once, and those thoughts can become quite chaotic. Metaphor I use for that is sometimes a snow globe. You know, if you shake up a snow globe and all of the bits are flurrying all over the place, that's often what modern life is like for many of us. And things can just feel really busy and overwhelming. For me, mindfulness can help to still that snow and to calm that snow globe down. It's not about eradicating thoughts. It's not about getting rid of. That's a big misconception that people sometimes have about mindfulness, is that it's about having a blank mind with no thoughts. That would be impossible. Instead, it's just that the snow is settled a bit and that there's clarity, so that you are thinking about things in a proportionate sort of perspective and not adding to your own experience with extra worry that's really not helpful. It's hard to sort of, I think you get it cognitively, but I think if you don't have MS, but probably in your heart, if there's such a thing of saying, like in your heart you get it. I suppose people with MS immediately, when you say it's very often just like the lenses through which you see life, when it's constant and it's non-stop and it's unrelenting. It can be very difficult to forget that you have MS. You know, it's sort of always there. People often expect mindfulness to get rid of that sense, you know, that I've forgotten I've had MS and there's, you know, rainbows and unicorns and life's a parade of gorgeousness. I can't guarantee that will happen. I've not experienced that. But what I have found is that I have a more realistic, more healthy relationship with this concept of, yes, I have MS and what that means for me personally. It's really there all the time. And that sounds really negative to say to somebody who doesn't have it. Like, it's just there all the time. I wake up in the morning and it's the first thing I probably think about. It's not the last thing to think about when I go to sleep, but it's just like, I wonder, what day will today be? Will today be a day where I've got my stick? Will today be a day where, you know, like there, I breathe differently because of this hug thing, and I've just learned to breathe differently. Yeah, it's just always there, really. And it's not oh, good, life's wonderful. It's just, life's certainly better with it, with mindfulness in it, I think. So whilst I am really passionate about mindfulness and I think it's worth trying, I can't say that for me personally it has removed pain or always reduces pain consistently, because it doesn't. But it absolutely, for me, has given an alternative or an adjusted experience of pain, of spasticity, of numbness, so that I'm still experiencing those things, but my direct experience of those symptoms is definitely altered in a more positive way. For me, a really practical way that I use mindfulness meditation is during my annual MRI scans. So my scans are brain and spinal cord, and they tend to be for quite a long chunk of time. Being in an MRI scanner is claustrophobic. It can be quite stressful and worrying at the best of times. So I use the meditation approaches to calm me down, to let me lie there really still, and it really makes the time go by quite quickly. I've even had feedback from some of the staff that, you know, I'm one of the stillest people that they've ever had in the scanner and haven't had to do any retakes. So that's another way that I use it in practice. I think mindfulness is really inclusive in that you can practice mindfulness formally, listening to those guided meditations or going to a class, seated in a chair, using a wheelchair, lying down. Yes, you can choose to sit on the floor with your legs crossed if you really want to, but most people who try mindfulness don't do that and don't need to do that. So I also would say it's inclusive because you can make your own adaptations to practicing mindfulness too. So you can make your own adaptations to practicing mindfulness as well, so that it suits you and your situation and maybe how MS presents itself in your own experience. For example, some people with MS do find it really difficult to have their eyes closed. With their eyes closed, some of us, me included, tend to fall forwards or backwards or off to the side. Certainly with things like pain and spasticity as well, people imagine that mindfulness involves sitting still for extended periods of time, and that won't be possible for them. Far from it. Mindfulness is not an endurance sport, so if you are sitting, practicing some mindfulness meditation, and you need to move, you need to scratch, you need to twitch and fidget and adjust your posture, the best thing is to just do that, but to do it mindfully. So to be really aware that you're doing that adjustment and then go back to what you were practicing, whether it's noticing the breath or doing something from a guided meditation. One of my mindfulness meditation teachers many years ago gave me a phrase that I tend to live by nowadays with MS. And that phrase is this: so that's how things are for me right now. That phrase is about something that might have just happened to you or something that you might have done. So for me, I will smash a glass several times a week because my hands aren't always great. Or one of my symptoms that might suddenly flare up, I suddenly notice. And that phrase, so that's how things are for me right now, is about looking at my current moment experience with an attitude of curiosity, with an attitude of patience that maybe this is going to last for some time, and also a degree of letting go. And that's about letting go of wishing that things were different, which of course we do sometimes wish things were different. The other key phrase there is right now. So that's how things are for me right now. So it reminds me when I say that to myself that this will pass. This is just how things are at this moment. One of my main symptoms that is with me all the time is the MS hug, combined with some altered sensation within my torso. And that altered sensation is a bit of a politically correct way of saying that it feels like I have an alien living inside my torso at times. Some of the pain or burning sensations, twisting, pushing, leads me, when I'm not being mindful, to imagining in my mind a 3D, full colour version of what's biologically, physiologically going on inside. And that can lead me into quite a negative thinking spiral, really. I don't end up concluding that this is all okay and will be fine. You know, I end up in a place where I feel quite down about this particular symptom. So using some mindfulness around that and being open to my present experience and accepting this is just how things are for me right now, doesn't get rid of the pain, no. But what it doesn't add on top is any sense of anxiety or low mood about that particular symptom. Bringing my awareness into the present moment has helped me notice at times I adjust my posture as a result of some of my symptoms, like the MS hug. I sit differently and I will brace myself against it slightly or twist myself so that I think I'm not aggravating the MS hug. But after a time, that actually creates then, you know, secondary pain or muscle tension because I'm holding myself in a different posture. Mindfulness, being aware of that, actually just reminds me that, oh look, I'm doing that thing again. So adjust your posture, and it doesn't alter the MS hug, it doesn't make it worse, but what it actually leads to is just a better general posture and no secondary symptoms or pain. Mindfulness in everyday life has really contributed to me personally being able to, I'd say, hold things with a light touch. I think that you can talk about some really serious things, some quite heavy topics, without necessarily needing to become a picture of doom and gloom as you do so. So I think that having a sense of humour is helpful for us with MS. I think that it can also mean that we are able to be open, more open, whether that's with healthcare providers or nearest and dearest about our experiences. But also just that having MS means that you're going to make mistakes and have to adjust your life and get to grips with having this condition and change things up. So if you're able to do that in a more light-hearted way and play with it a little bit, I think the overall outcome is going to be more positive. This guided meditation is called Be an Observer. It can be useful as a guided meditation for handling chronic pain. Before we start this guided meditation, please be sure that you won't be distracted by anyone or any nearby devices. Turn your phone into the off position or place them in another room on silent. This time is really important for you, so there's no need for any interaction with the outside world. You are in a very safe and secure place, and absolutely nothing will distract you for the duration of this session. This time right now is entirely yours. Nobody needs you, you have nowhere else to be and nowhere to go. So just be grateful for this moment exclusively for you. This occasion of rest and relaxation is to nourish you from the inside out. You deserve this break from the busy world around you. You know how you make time to hang out with family or friends? Or how about when you take time to help someone else or get a job done? Well, this is an occasion that you have made to be with only you. Think of this as a date with yourself. You are allowing the natural sources of healing and strength that are within you to become fully present. Bring awareness to the fact that each moment that passes by is part of your life experience. It is here and it is now, and then it goes. It becomes only a memory. As humans, we have a tendency to want things to be different from how we are experiencing them right now. But we are going to let this desire vanish and allow things to be exactly how they are. So, do not try to change anything or even wish that it will change during this session. Experience letting yourself be exactly how you are in this very moment. Any judgments you have about yourself or critical things you usually think about your body or mind can just fade away. Those things don't matter at all during this date with yourself. There is no right way to feel, just as there is no wrong way to feel. Feelings are simply that, just feelings. Acknowledge how you're able to sense any sensations in your body in the moment and accept it. It's completely okay to feel whatever you're feeling. Letting your arms feel heavy by your sides. If you can, notice what your fingertips are touching right now. Can you feel your thumbs in particular? How about your index fingers? Sense what they are touching, if you can. And now your middle fingers. Now see if you can feel what your ring fingers are touching. And now the little fingers. Become aware of your breathing now, following it but not needing to change it in any way. Bring awareness to your abdomen and just observe your abdomen rising and falling with your breath. Your abdomen expands and contracts when you breathe, just like a tiny baby when they breathe. This is the most natural way to breathe, and you've known how to breathe since the moment you were born. Your body can just do this all on its own. We're just observing the process. Now become aware of your toes. If you can, notice each one of your toes. What do they feel like and what are they touching? I wonder if you can imagine for a moment that when you breathe in, your breath can travel all the way down to your toes. Breathing in and down to your toes now. And on the out-breath, allow your entire legs to become very deeply relaxed. Now imagine this same thing for your fingertips. As you breathe in, feel your breath travelling all the way to each fingertip. And on the out-breath, your entire arms becoming so very relaxed. And noticing again the gentle rise and fall of your abdomen. Up and down. Expanding and contracting. Now use your imagination to witness your in-breath is going all the way up to your head, filling your mouth, nose, eyes and ears. And on the out-breath, your head becomes more relaxed than it has ever been before. Inhale all the way into the tiny areas of your brain, which restores your mind. And on the exhale, your mind becomes more open and relaxed than it has ever been before. Whatever feelings you're having right now, just notice them, as if you're an observer, sitting and relaxing on the beach, watching the great and powerful sea that represents you. You can only see the surface of the ocean, but below there is so much happening and great change taking place. Right now, your body is accessing its natural healing capabilities, and you don't have to do a thing. All you have to do is relax and observe. Just look out upon your ocean and know that all is well and all is being taken care of. All the ocean needs from you is your kindness and your trust. Allow yourself to relax even more now by feeling the warm, gentle sun touching your skin as you rest on this magnificent beach. The sun is healing and allows for the growth of all life on Earth. Feel your feet in the sand and notice how soft and soothing it is. Perhaps you can even hear the waves crashing on the sand. You are fully able to let go here. There are no desires, no feelings, no thoughts. You're just completely present in this moment, enjoying watching your ocean in your mind's eye, and knowing that you don't even need to see what's going on below the surface. All is well in the great waters that represent you. In a moment, at the sound of the bell, you will gently allow yourself to become aware of your surroundings again and the present moment by opening your eyes. You might wish to express some gratitude to yourself for this wonderful experience that you've been given.
Wow, a huge thank you to Justin for that amazing mindfulness session. I know I feel very zen now, so I know I'm definitely feeling a lot better this evening from that. Thank you everyone for sticking around with us for Justin's interview and for the mindfulness session too. As I say, unfortunately, Justin can't be with us this evening. Unfortunately, I'm not a mindfulness teacher, although I kind of wish that I was, because I think just listening to him, I can tell how calm and sort of grounded he is. But what I'd really like to know, if you're happy to share some of your experiences from the video, from the interview and from the mindfulness session, please do. So, if you got something out of it, if you felt calm and zen like me, please do let us know in the chat. If maybe from the video you've learned something about mindfulness, something new, a time that you can use it, maybe if you're brushing your teeth, as Justin was saying, or, talking to the dog, or just being in that present moment, let us know in the chat. And if you've learned anything that you're going to take away from today as well, maybe you're going to try to practice a little bit more meditation. Are you going to use a little bit of mindfulness every now and then? Let us know in the chat. Or maybe you're going to use it like Justin when he goes for an MRI scan, or when he has to go to a different appointment, or when he's experiencing those symptoms. Is there anything that you might be able to do? I know he talked about the MS hug, and how he uses that mindfulness there. I wonder if that's something that other people might want to use too. So have a think, and I'm going to bring up some of the chats here. So I know, let me see, he commented earlier. So we've got lots of people discussing different treatments, which is always really interesting to hear. different people's experiences, which is great. Julie says that she's started craft classes, which have been really helpful for her, relaxing. And Stefano, oh, hi, Stefano. I know you recorded this video recently as well, so hello to you. So Stefano says he has a relaxing, calm, clear mind now, which is great. Sarah found the mindfulness session to be really calming, and it's the first time that you felt relaxed in a while, Sarah. Thank you for sharing with us. Yeah, I think it's really important. Sometimes difficult, isn't it, to just take that time out of your day, and life gets so hectic, doesn't it? And especially if you're living with MS as well, you have all those added pressures as well of appointments and symptoms and family and everything that comes with it. So it's really important to take that time out. And we've got Imani. I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly there, but so they're saying that they'll be doing some mindfulness meditation while you're waiting to be seen at appointments. So that's such a good use of that time, isn't it? Thank you so much for sharing. And Julie is going to be relaxing a little bit later. Oh, fantastic. At a concert in Sheffield City Hall. Yeah, loving music, and that makes you feel happy. That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Fantastic. Let's see if we've got anyone else from earlier on. Rose is saying that she wishes she could learn how to be more mindful, and I think that's a journey that we can all be on, Rose. You know, don't worry that you're not there yet. As Justin says, it's just a learning experience, and no one's perfect, so it's just a good starting point. So I think everyone can be more mindful, especially me, because my goodness, I was listening to that, I thought I haven't stopped and done something like that for ages, so it was great. Goodbye to Julie. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll just read out a couple more, so if you do want to share anything with us, do drop it into the chat just before we finish. Ashley says from earlier on in the chat, I find wildlife photography so helpful, and it makes him be really patient and in the moment. So that's amazing. I think anytime you can be out in nature, I know sometimes that's really difficult if you live with MS, because you have those added pressures of it's not as easy sometimes to get around or to get out of the house. But if you can find yourself some nature, that can help you bring that present moment in, definitely. Amazing. And lots more music. It's interesting, lots of people talking about how music helps them to be mindful. And earlier on, again, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Lach says that looking after plants puts them in a state of bliss and brings them into the present moment. I used to sit in the lotus position for hours. I don't anymore, and I guess that could be different for everyone. And yeah, you're absolutely right. And as Justin was saying, you know, you don't have to sit under a rock, on a rock in the lotus in a waterfall and all of that business. You can just be mindful day to day, and that's what it's all about. It's accessible for everyone. You know, it doesn't have to be this picturesque vision of mindfulness. You know, it's open for everyone. So thank you so much for sharing. And I'd like to say, Claire, sorry, will we be able to access the mindfulness session as a download? Yes, you will, Claire. Yeah, absolutely. We'll make sure that all of our resources after the week is over are all up, and I believe this video will also be saved as a live onto YouTube as well, so you can always go back to it, but we will be putting them up separately as well. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us. I'd just like to say a huge thank you to Justin Standfield from Incendo. He is a mindfulness teacher and a leadership coach, amongst other things, and he was amazing. So I'd like to say a huge thank you to him. And also a huge thank you to Production Bureau, who helped with our film and filming Justin. Thank you so much. And finally, thank you so much to the MS community for joining us tonight, taking time out of your very busy lives to come and sit with us and listen to that mindfulness session and to connect with each other. It's amazing. And finally, for 30 years, the MS Trust has been helping people make sense of MS throughout their journey. And that involves producing practical, evidence-based information, both online and in person, and also with our dedicated inquiry service and helpline, who are friendly and knowledgeable, and they're always available to speak to anyone who needs to know more about MS. And we also support and train and fund MS health professionals across the UK. So if you want to know any more about the MS Trust, please do click wherever you're watching, and make sure you check out our website too, and our A to Z of MS. There's lots of really, really helpful information on there. And finally, thank you so much. And we will see you on Wednesday. We've got another live stream, which is at 1 o'clock. And there we'll be talking to two psychologists, one of whom has MS herself, about emotions and feelings. So really looking forward to that. And we really hope that you can join us on these channels again. So yeah, thank you so much. And make sure you're sharing the hashtag MSMakesMe on social media. Make sure you tag us or one of our charity partners. Thank you so much. Bye.